Hello, I'm Heather,
I'm Cardyn.
and welcome to the Bitchy Quill, a podcast where we talk about publishing from a feminist perspective. We also do guest mini interviews, and today we have author Olivia Springer. Hello, how are you doing, Olivia? We're going to
I'm
dive right in, and Cardin's going to ask you your first question.
So, our first question is, how did we meet you?
so I had come to the Woman Right festival.
Mhm.
Um, I came as an attendee
Mm.
for in 2024, and then I vended for this one in 2025.
Gotcha.
Oh, we're so
Yes.
glad that you came. So, we're going to ask you some of the questions that a lot of people ask to writers, just so that you can get this information out there. And I'm curious about this question, which is why I always include it in most of my interviews, which is what made you want to become a writer?
So I was creating stories when I was six. Like I've always been sort of a storyteller. I think that the real question for me that is the closest that I can answer this for other people is what made me want to publish. And I've always also like, in addition to always like creating and always wanting to be a writer, I also always wanted to have like 4 degrees or several degrees. Like I've always wanted to have like like a bachelor's, master's, doctorate. And so when I went to get my MFA, my first MFA, I got that in creative writing and publishing, and that's what led to my first book, The Ancestors, which is a collection of short stories about people that go through different, like adversity over different time periods, and their ancestors reach out to help them in different ways. So it's like a bit of a speculative,
Mhm.
fabulistic horror type stories.
Wow. And I just want to, this is something I say all the time, but I just want to point it out again while we're on the podcast is that when I get to the part, now I do a lot of the organizing and the making the website content and stuff, and then I have to do the links and all that. And when I get to people's bios, I am blown away by the amount of skill, brilliance, education, talent that comes to gives gives us the opportunity to have these people as vendors and authors at our event. So I just wanted to recognize that we are always blown away by the bios. I'll be texted, "Oh my gosh, did you know Olivia
Yeah.
Springer?"
Yes. And so, Olivia, you said your first MFA. What's your second MFA?
So my second MFA that I'm working on right now is in integrated design.
Mhm.
And once I finish that, I'll be getting a doctorate. I'm looking at getting it in women's spirituality.
Mm.
I've gone through sort of this period of reclaiming and doing that by looking at African deities like the Orisha and which reminds me to bring up something, and this is totally my fault that I did not discuss this with you guys before. As part of that reclaiming, if we look at the Orisha, a lot of them have O names,
Mhm.
and like Ogun, Oshun, Oya, and they pronounce their name with the O pronunciation. So please try to pronounce my name also as part of my reclaiming as Olivia and not
Yes.
Olivia.
Okay.
And it's fine that you guys didn't
Okay.
before. I didn't tell you before. That's on me.
No, no, that's great. And that's always helpful because you don't know what you don't know.
Also, I have a Pennsylvania twang a little bit left over. I say still mill instead of steel mill, so it helps to have a pronunciation guide. So that is wonderful, and I think Cardin has the next
Sure.
question. Yeah.
So, I think this leads nicely into it because who or what more specifically would you consider your writing influences? Like you've shared with us so far about kind of your a broader idea of your interests and what you want to know and reclaim. So, more specifically, like, do you have a clear memory of maybe reading something at some point and thinking, oh, I want to do this to make people feel this way or think this thing or question this idea or that kind of thing, just especially since you're an academic. So,
So, one of my favorite things to say is that my writing is very kind of inspired by a Fall Out Boy quote, which
Mm,
is, I want these words to make things right, but it's the wrongs that make the words come to life.
mm,
So a lot of my writing is like my two big personal projects. Um, one came out of my grief and sadness over my grandmother passing away, and then the other came out of like anger and spite.
mhm,
Um, so a lot of my influences are that, especially since a lot of things that also influence me are like a lot of social justice issues. Um, as far as like who, uh, for the most part, I've always liked like horror. I was a Nightmare Before Christmas kid. You know, I grew up Courage the Cowardly Dog and
mhm.
and Tales from the Crypt and those kind of things.
Yes, yes.
But like I recently started to get into mystery, and the influencers for that were Agatha Christie, especially like Poirot, and Carrie Greenwood's Miss Fisher.
Mhm.
Those were big influences as far as like that genre. Um, and then also I really started to like Afrofuturism. Um, and so like then we're looking at like Octavia Butler, Tanana Reeve Dew,
Mhm.
and my favorite Nalo Hopkinson.
Mhm.
Um, so I'd say like a mix of that.
You should never underestimate spite as a motivator.
Oh.
The other
Very
things are
true.
nice to be motivated by, but spite can be quite a motivator, I
Yeah.
think. That I also want to say that I feel like you roll some of your fashion into this concept as well because you looked so cool at the I was like I want to dress like that. You looked real what would you call it? Like an urban goth?
So my fashion is a combination of like Afrocentric and Afrofuturistic pieces with also a mix of like gothic and alternative and whimsy goth type of things. That's a lot of what my aesthetic is.
Yeah.
And so like today I have like a shirt with like the Egyptian things on it. Um Sometimes I'll have like and you may have seen my big skull purse. His name is Bartholomew. Like stuff like that. So so yeah, that's a bit of my aesthetic. And I think that that also like plays really nicely into my writing because my
Yeah.
writing is also like horror, mystery,
Mm,
Afrofuturism, speculative things.
yeah.
So
Wonderful.
That's fantastic.
What is the current project you're working on?
so the current project that I'm working on actually comes from Spite, is the project that I was telling you about that comes from Spite. It is a tarot card mystery series where the main character just so happens to be a hoodoo practitioner. Um, and what happens in it is she's solving like murder mysteries in her neighborhood, and it takes place in Baltimore during like 2004.
Ooh.
Her and her friends are pretty whimsy goth, and it started out as a cozy mystery, but I feel like for me it'll probably be either like close to the edge of cozy mystery, because you know cozy mystery is very much like things are less explicit, and one of the things that cozy mystery tries to stay away from is talking about social political things,
Mm,
but that's not fully me as a person, so those will slide in there.
mm.
You know, someone who did this really well, and I may butcher her last name, I think it's Mia P Manasala, with adobo and arsenic.
Yes.
Um, and she even prefaces at the beginning of the book, like, yes, this is a cozy mystery, but the police have hurt my community, and I'm
Yes.
going to talk about
Yes.
it a bit. And so,
Yes.
like, I really want to channel that for this story. And one of the things that happens in this story, or in this series, because I'm working on turning it into a series,
Yes.
is that the main character she uses tarot cards to solve her murder mysteries. And when I write this, I don't know who the murderer is until I get towards the end of the book. And I am also using tarot cards to use this
Oh, I
to solve
love
the
that.
mystery, which is where that came
Wow.
from because my aunt tried to talk me out of using tarot, and saying that God told her that the tarot cards had to go. So now I've created a story where I have to use
I love
the
that as a
cards.
process. And actually, I think that it takes some of the, because I know, I think people that aren't writers think that writing's all fun and it's just like, I don't know, painting on a canvas, which it's not. And even in canvas painting, there's work involved. So I think it's important for people to understand that having fun injected into your process helps you get through that work because it is work. It's not just all making up stories. I mean, there's tons of work involved. Continuity itself alone is a huge thing that is hard to maintain. So that is, I've never heard anybody do that before. You could start a whole movement of authors using tarot cards to help them figure out people who are more pantsers than plotters. So, but yeah,
Well,
that's interesting.
and also just out of curiosity too about the tarot, it feels like also such a great opportunity to expose people more to tarot because to go to your point of how you're saying, I think you said your aunt said God told her not to, the tarot had to go, but also maybe educating people on the fact that tarot it's not something evil. It's not, it's not a tool of the devil. It's just tarot.
Exactly. People see it in movies and TV shows and forget that it's a tool just like the Bible.
Mm,
And really, these things don't become weapons or dangerous. They're
right.
not the things that are dangerous. It's the
Right.
people that are
Yes.
using them.
Yes.
Um, and I have seen far more people use the Bible to do harm than tarot cards,
Yes.
quite frankly.
Yes.
So,
Agreed.
so you're
Yes.
absolutely right.
Yes.
Um, and that's actually one of the things that I want to do a bit with this series because a lot of times also when we see people using tarot cards or doing magic, or doing that we're seeing like hocus pocus or the
Mm,
craft, and I want this series to be very grounded,
mhm.
um very real, down to earth. Like, yeah, her and her friends are doing magic, but it's like everyday magic that anyone can do. So
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. That is
Oh,
very cool.
that's a great hook. That's very intriguing. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be available. Um, and you don't have to answer this because you might not have an answer, but you might not want to reveal it. But do you either have a title you're willing to share with the first book or even an idea for what you want to call the series? And again, as an author, I understand if you're like, no comment.
yeah, I'm gonna say no comment for now
Okay.
until I get things, till I get certain ducks in a row.
Yes, I
But you
understand.
heard it here first, folks.
I know.
The series is coming.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, let me focus. So as we round out, what are some of the best ways for readers to support you? Like, do you want them to follow your socials if you're on, Amazon KU, or like when you think about when people say, "Hey, I really appreciate your artistry and your work. What can I do to support you?" What are your top three things that you're like, I wish people would?
I think the first thing is I have a link tree.
Mm,
All of my social media is on there. I am in the process of updating and redoing a website, so that will be up there.
okay,
All of my announcements and things will be up there. So the best place to do anything is to follow the link tree. I will also be, I believe it's from the 19th to the 21st at the Creatures, Crime, and Creators Convention at
okay.
Columbia, Maryland. So
Yeah.
please come out to support, buy a book. I believe I'm on a panel for that as well. So those things are probably the biggest things. for me right now.
Amazing.
Totally doable.
So follow her online, follow Olivia online, so you can keep track of when those awesome tarot books come out, and when you have new projects, do you post them on there on your social?
Yes.
Do you have a
Anytime, most of my new projects will be on my social media. So you'll probably see it on Instagram first and on the link tree. And then anytime I'm vending at an event, that will also be like on the link tree. So the best
Excellent.
thing to do for right now is to just be on that link tree.
Okay,
Excellent.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for your energy that you contributed to the Right Women Book Festival. It was wonderful having you. I'm glad that you were able to come our final year. And we look forward to seeing more of you. And once you get that tarot series, your first book published, please come back and talk to us on the podcast. We would love to have you to just do a mini-sode talking about your new book series.
I would love that. I would love that. And I'll send you guys information and I'll let you know when that first book comes out.
Okay.
I don't have any dates because it's still in the works, but I'm
Sure.
hoping to get that dropped very soon. So
Wonderful. So glad to hear it. Thank you
Very
so much for
exciting.
joining us. And Cardyn's going to do our outro.
Oh, hey, well, like I'm all into it and I'm not paying
Yeah.
attention. Hold on, let me do this. Okay. Thank you for joining us on the Bitchy Quill. Please look for more episodes where we discuss publishing from a feminist perspective and our guest minisodes here on YouTube. If you'd like to be a guest on the Bitchy Quill, please email us at therightwomenbookfest@gmail.com. Info will be below in the episode information.
That's right. And we will include any links that you want to send us and how to reach Olivia. You can find that information below. So thank you so much. You have a wonderful day, and I hope you get a lot of writing in and relaxation for the weekend.
you too. Bye. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on.